supporting the Rotary Foundation, which allows us to do so much more.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Good morning, Chet. Chris, do you want to practice just sharing your screen and make sure that all works?
Right. Let me do something here. I need to X out of that for a moment. Get up my.
Hey, Dave.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Hey, can I get a minute to talk about Adopt a Highway when we do announcements?
You bet. I have you on my list.
All right, sweet.
Okay, so and now at the point, so we'll click share the screen and there and hit share. Can you see it?
It is starting. Usually takes like a couple seconds. There it is.
There we go.
Yep. Yep.
So you can see my slideshow.
Yep, we do.
Well,
Okay, very good.
We can see the your PowerPoint application. Then once you start
PowerPoint,
once you start the slideshow, it'll go.
Excellent. So I'll stop the share at this point. Give it back to you.
Perfect.
And we're all set for when you're ready to say Knapp take over. I'll go in and bring it up.
Okay, perfect. Wonderful.
I read in the district newsletter that you had done 30 out of 90 visits so far. As of that printing, are you up to like 40 or something now?
I think I'm. We've had several postponements, but I think I must be close to about 45.
Oh, nice.
So at least about 12. 6 of those are clubs not meeting, and I have about 6 more to go. So we're getting pretty close.
Nice.
Gotcha.
Who's not meeting?
Centerville, I guess maybe they might be trying to get back online. Let me get my list out here. I just updated it today.
Hey, Tom Seelick.
Hello. Is my microphone on?
Yep,
It is.
we can hear you.
I'll turn it off.
You bet. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Bloomfield is questionable. Keosauqua. Let's see. Greater Des Moines is in and out. Creston. Centerville is questionable. Fairfield. Norwalk. Coon Rapids. And Osceola.
Okay. Yeah.
And one of the challenges of some of those clubs is they don't have very good internet in those areas. That's number one. Number two, they have a large older member population, which is not as tech savvy as they could be, or should be, or need to be for this. But I do think that we see an improvement in that in the near future. There's Steve West.
There he is. Now we can even hear you.
Dave Brown, I love the idea of Friday Eve. It's not just Thursday, people. It's Friday Eve.
It's all how you contextualize it.
Have you had one of those weeks where, Friday's looking pretty sweet?
It's been a good week, but Friday's always looking pretty sweet.
Excellent.
It's been busy, but busy is good.
That's great. Well, I went to the office and I do think that one area that you guys replaced those plants looks a lot better than what it was. So
yeah, wait till those plants take off. Those are called Bombshell Hydrangea.
Ooh, they're hydrangeas. Ooh.
Yeah. And they will be probably pretty prolific.
That's great. Maybe someday I'll be able to work in my office again and then I can look out the window and see them.
Can I screen share?
Sure.
Let's see if I even have them. Where did I put them? I don't see where I put them though. That's, hang on. Put them back.
Ooh, that's what it'll look like?
Yeah, are
That's
you seeing the
amazing.
hydrangea?
That's great. So
Yeah.
just in case you're like catching up, Dave heads all landscaping at the University of Iowa. And the area outside of my office, you know, in the last year, I lost a tree. I was really bummed. I kind of like bugged Dave about it. So now there's a tree and he has planted hydrangeas in one area. So, and someday I'll be back in that office and I'll be able to enjoy it. So
We're doing a little bit here and there. We had pretty much the same year everyone else had with COVID, so we had to scale back a little, but we were able to choose some projects and go forward.
that's
Do the
great.
best we can.
And I see that we have Aaron with us. Aaron is a visitor. He was a visitor last week with his wife, and we all gave a bunch of recommendations on different things that they could try out in the Iowa City area as newbies. So hopefully Colin got that to you and that you can start working down that list and checking out all those different parks and the different places that people suggested.
I was muted.
No.
Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you with us. Welcome you back anytime. And, you know, you've got like a couple of weeks of beautiful fall Iowa weather. So take advantage of it. Enjoy, go out to those parks.
Yeah.
Excellent. Welcome, everybody. Good to see the numbers keep climbing. Please make sure you go into the chat and sign in. Christina Kimberly, how is the weather in St. Louis? Give us a report if you can.
It is hot.
Oh,
I think we hit 90 yesterday.
ooh. Yeah, that's a bit hotter
Yeah.
than I'd want in October. Yeah.
Find it at all. You can keep your cold weather and your snow and your gloomy rain and whatever else is happening there.
Okay, you're going to get a little bit of that. And you're just in St. Louis, you know, maybe not as much, but you're still going to get a bit of it.
Maybe. Global warming.
Yeah, global warming. Yeah, who knows what the winter will bring.
45 in Johnson County. 35 no cases in Johnson.
Good to see you today, Eric. It looks like maybe today you're in a classroom at Kirkwood.
Yeah, up on our main Cedar Rapids campus in one of our conference rooms.
Excellent.
Yep. Mhm.
Great. Welcome, everybody, to the Mustins, to Chris, Tara, Patty, Mark, Jim, Ann. Great to see everybody. The Wicklands are here. So if you missed our social on Tuesday, you missed some of the outstanding trivia that we did. We'll play a quick little trivia right now. If you want to go into the chat and put in your guess as to how many clubs are in District 6000. Now, if you attended the social, you probably already know, but you know, if you want a little something to do in the next few minutes, you can go in and enter your guess. How many clubs in Rotary District 6000? As always, we'll get started at about 12:03.
We got a few minutes left.
Yeah, but I'm trying to
You
see.
turn it on here and I'll come listen to it.
I'll bring it over there. I'm just trying to remember where you put participant. I'm muted, I hope.
What'd you say?
It's about time you muzzle those mustins.
Barb, am I banned from playing the game?
Well, you do know the answer if you know, and you were probably the one that got it all right. Let's see. We've got some good guesses here. 45, 76, 64, 66, 55. Again, we're just asking people to go ahead and take a guess. How many clubs are in District 6000? How many Rotary clubs in District 6000? I don't have any fabulous prize, but you know, we've got a minute or two, so you might as well give it a guess.
Hey, Chief.
Well, some of you may know if you remember from Tuesday. So, we had a lot of Rotary trivia on Tuesday. And this at least is the one number I remember right off the bat. I do not remember the number of Rotarians in the district right off the bat. That's a little more complicated.
Ray, is Linda looking in the district directory?
Doing a quick count. So before we get started, I did want to share with people that Devin and I have been kind of playing with a different idea that we might try to install next week. So when we held our social on Tuesday, one of the things people talked a lot about missing about in-person meetings is the opportunity to visit with people. And so one thing that we might try, you know, we've been doing Zoom rooms occasionally and that has worked, but one thing that we might try is actually opening up the meeting earlier, you know, maybe at 11:45. And if you want to come and visit with some people, you could join the meeting and we could put you into some rooms and you could have a small discussion and then we can pull you back kind of near the start of the meeting. So we may try to, you know, throw in Zoom rooms a little bit more just so that you get that opportunity to visit with each other. So we're going to play around with it. Just be patient with us because sometimes it might work and sometimes it might not. But, you know, you don't know unless you try, right? So I want to welcome everybody. My name is Barb Thomas. I am the president of the Iowa City Noon Rotary. And as we always do, we start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if you can join us, please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, well, happy Thursday, everyone, or Friday Eve, as some may look at it. Hope you're having a wonderful day today and that you'll be able to enjoy the beautiful sunshine. Before we really get started, I'm going to turn this over to Devin for just a few Zoom reminders. Devin?
Thanks, President Barb. Just a couple of reminders. Make sure to change that view once we get to the speaker. You can either look at a grid of all of the other smiling faces of your fellow Rotarians or speaker view. I recommend the speaker view for when we have somebody speaking at length, like Barb, with announcements or anything like that. Additionally, there is a participants tab, and there you can go to raise your hand if you have questions or if you want to make an announcement. And then if you go to the chat, you can have a side conversation or you can also sign in. One final tip that came up at Tuesday's social is that if you haven't you might have a computer that automatically updates Zoom. And so you have all kinds of fancy reactions, like there's a party emoji, which I didn't even know about. There's a laughing, crying emoji that you can use in your reactions. And then there's also these fancy things in the participants tab, like clap and thumbs down. Probably don't want to use that one too often or need a break, and probably some security features as well. So if you want to update your Zoom client, I just put the link to how to do that in the chat. Back to you, President Barb.
Excellent. Thank you, Devin. So you may want to take a look at that. You might want to open it and then just kind of keep it off to the side so that later you can go into your Zoom program and make sure that you're updated. Let's see. I do want to provide the answer to our little pre-meeting trivia that we had. We discussed how many Rotary clubs are in District 6000. And I appreciate those of you who guessed in the chat. And the answer is 66. And it is 66 because just this year we added another club from Denison, I believe it is. So congrats if you got it right. I wish I had a prize for you, but you can walk away knowing that you know the right answer now. So next, what we'll do is we'll go to introductions. So I'm going to turn it over to Devin to call on you. But remember, there is the participant button at the bottom where you can raise your hand and be introduced or introduce your guest. So I'll turn it over to you, Devin.
Thanks, President Barb. Ryan Bell, you have a guest.
I do. I've got Alex Friedrich, who is a University of Iowa student that I've been lucky enough to kind of mentor a little bit here over the last year or so. And he runs on campus the, he'll fill in for the exact title, but the Sales Club. So a group of students that all meet regularly and learn about the wonderful world of sales and that profession. So Alex, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Sure. I hope you guys can all hear me. I'm Alex. It's nice to meet you all. I'm honored to be here. Thanks for the invite, Ryan. And as Ryan mentioned, I'm involved on campus in the Sales and Consulting Club. I'm the Director of External Affairs, which is just a fancy title for I kind of network and reach out to individuals to come speak to the students on campus. Now that things are online, that title is a little bit different, but getting to meet you guys here today is quite the privilege. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming, Alexander. Appreciate you coming out. We've got a couple of visiting Rotarians, Gary Wickland, the perennial visitor from the Vail, Colorado Club. And we also have another guest that I know about. Colleen, do you want to introduce your guest today?
Yeah, Erin Roseman, I'll let you kind of introduce yourself and what you do.
Hi, my name is Ron. I'm from Nurse Next Door Home Care Agency. We help seniors stay in their home. We provide any service necessary from light housekeeping, medication reminder, doing errands, personal care, bathing, grooming, etc. A lot of people come of age thinks they need to choose between staying at home and moving for a retirement facility. But today there are a lot of options that you can stay at home much longer and get the help that you need. Assisted living at your own home.
Well, welcome, Aaron. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
That is everybody that I see. Back to you, President Barb.
Great. Thank you very much, Devin. Welcome, Iran and Alexander. Alexander, that means that you are probably a Tippy College of Business student. Am I correct in that?
Can't say I am. I'm actually an enterprise leadership student. So I'm in a program that works with the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and the Tippy College of Business. But technically speaking, I'm not in the Tippy College of Business.
Well, you know, it's never too late. I work for the Tippy College, so I'm a big Tippy College proponent. And so with the Sales Club, hopefully you work with Tom Walsh some. So he's one of our faculty members that deals with sales. So welcome. We're happy to have you here today.
Thank you.
So next we'll move to some announcements. I did want to share with club members that one of our Rotary members, John Gross, that his wife, Carolyn, who is a member of one of the other area Rotary clubs. So she is unfortunately dealing with liver cancer and is only expected to be with us for a few more weeks. And I know that many of you may know Carolyn and you certainly know John. Now she is resting comfortably. She is in hospice care, but her voice is weak. So unfortunately, that means that you don't really, you know, calling her isn't really a great option. So what we recommend is that you send them a card, you keep them in your thoughts, and I will add John's John and Carolyn's address in the chat as well. You can also find it on Club Runner, but please keep John and his wife Carolyn in your thoughts. Next, I want to go to Eric Weiler, who will tell us about our Rotary elections. Eric?
Great. Well, it's great to see everybody. The votes have been cast. All the absentee ballots made it in on time. I've got the golden envelope here under lock and key, which I'm going to open with our results here. For our Rotary Board of Directors, we had 5 great candidates for 2 open positions. These are 3-year terms. And if everyone could help me in congratulating Madeleine Windauer and Devin von Holstein. So congratulations to Devin and Madeleine. And we also wanted to say for the candidates who were not selected, we really appreciate your interest and we encourage you to apply again in the future. Also on the ballot, we had the Rotary President-elect nominee, and this will be the person leading our Rotary Club in July of 2022. We try to do succession planning, so this is a few years out. But if you could help me to congratulate Ryan Bell, who is our Rotary President-elect nominee. That's a mouthful. So yeah, just a big round of applause for Ryan, for Madeleine, and for Devin, and thank you for your current and future leadership, guys. So
kudos. That's
back
great.
to you, Barb.
Thank you so much, Eric. Next, I do want to make sure that you all take a look at the district newsletter. So there's lots of great information in the newsletter, but in this month's or this version of it, there is a great story about Cohotepec, and that includes some of our own Rotarians from our club. So I want to make sure that you look at that as well. In addition, there is also an article about Greg Abbey. And if you remember, Greg Abbey is the gentleman from Seattle who was on RAGBRAI, had a major heart attack, but was saved by an AED that was donated to the state patrollers by our Rotary Club. And so the article includes Greg's entire letter to our club, but it also provides some great information on the Rotary Kerber Heart Safe Community Campaign. And so I encourage you to look at the entire newsletter, but especially those 2 pieces, because it has to deal with some of the information from our club. Next, I'd like to go to Dave Brown, who has an announcement from the Environmental Concerns Committee. Dave?
Thank you, President Barb. So we've been working on getting our first activity together, and we have an Adopt a Highway we've set up. So we wanted to announce we're working with the other Rotary clubs because we're inviting them in as well, and we're going to call it the Rotary Clubs of Iowa City. The highway is Sand Road just south of Terry Trueblood Park, and our piece runs from the southern part of Terry Trueblood, basically where Winter Eagle Road is, all the way down to Nursery Lane. So coming up, we were doing our best to try to find a Saturday that had good weather, and that was the intent. It has reduced in temperature 20 degrees since we first started. So I'm not selling this very well, am I? But we're aiming for October 17th at 10 a.m. It's a pretty quiet area. The shoulders are wide. We're looking for something that was safe for the club. And we'd like to encourage anybody who feels safe in doing this. We're going to be taking social distancing precautions. But if you could, and Barbara, I didn't ask you this question, but can I send an email to you if we had the numbers that would help us with some things? We're looking to get individually wrapped snacks, maybe like Kind bars, individually poured drinks in paper cups. We have vests. We've got plenty of them, but I can get more if we need more. And we're also looking to, if we get enough people turn out, to split the groups up, where one group would go down to Nursery Lane and come up north. The other would park at Winter Eagles. And the thinking behind that is so that we don't have a ton of cars parked at either place. We can kind of split up. And Ryan has volunteered to be the captain of one group, and I'll do the other group. But if you could let us know, the date is October 17th, and that's going to be at 10 in the morning. It's going to be a good time. but please let us know if you can come. And there's not a ton of trash, but I think this is going to be a good spot for us. Very visible.
That's great. Thank you, Dave, and thanks for leading that effort. It's a great opportunity to get out in the fall, even if it's not 80 degrees, and you can help the community, you can be active, and you can see some of your fellow Rotarians and do good for our community. So again, we'll send some information out so that you can RSVP today for this. He did forget to read gold t-shirt that I think it says like Rotarians working or something like that. I know Ryan has them. So added benefit to volunteering.
I hadn't seen them, but Ryan says they're sweet, so I'm sure they are.
Well, if Ryan says they're sweet, we all know that's true, right?
They're great quality t-shirts. You'll be proud to own one.
Excellent.
It's a wardrobe enhancing piece of clothing.
Yes, your closet will be happier.
Yes.
Exactly. Well, and lastly, I just want to say thank you to everybody who attended our Rotary Social. It was a fun success this past Tuesday. I did want to congratulate our raffle prize winners. So we had 3 winners, Linda Farkas, David Spanier, and Rebecca Needs. So we had a lot of fun. We learned some different things about trivia. We talked in small groups and we gave away prizes. So what a benefit. Hope you can join us next time. So next, before we move to our program, I do want to go to our Rotary moment of positivity and gratitude. And this week we have asked Rotarian Chris Atchison to provide us with his moment. Chris?
Thank you, President Barb. And when President Barb asked if I would give my thoughts on gratitude and positivity, I momentarily paused because aside from the brief thank you or you're welcome that we routinely offer for kindnesses, I'm not one who had customarily taken the extra step to actually express gratitude. That's on me, and my wife knows I have a lifetime of thank you cards to write. But on reflection, I fully agree with Barb's instincts in her presidential initiative. The times we are in demand that we step back, note the good around us, and overtly express appreciation for those who and those things which have brought fullness into our lives. Rotary is a perfect place to offer those thoughts. And like Rotarian Mark Prees said last week, the 4-way test serves as a perfect framework for my reflection. For more than 10 years, I've been a member of this club. Over that time, I've seen a range of individuals step forward and help mobilize the club in goodwill, in fairness, to work for the benefit of all in our community, nation, and even internationally. From Ponseti and Cleft Palate to wellness and reading, to Ronald McDonald and youth development, food drives, disaster recovery, and hundreds of other examples of relatively invisible acts of giving that betters lives. I am privileged and proud to be part of an organization that sees the truth and takes action. I retired from the university 3 years ago, and that transition has led me to reflect on my life, family, and career. I reread Gail Sheehy's classic book, Passages, which portrays the temporal eras of her life and her experiences, challenges, and accomplishments. I think it's a good way to reflect on life and the events and people that led you to become the person you are. So here goes mine. My early years were spent growing up in Chicago, where I experienced loss as a result of my mom's divorce when I was in 3rd grade. But I found a positive outlook through scouting and later the seminary, where I found direction and focus in life. For those of you involved in RILA, thank you and know how important your work is. As any Irish Catholic child growing up in parochial schools did in the early 60s, I believed in Camelot and all that it stood for and looked at public service as a way to achieve that. I'm grateful to all those who knowingly or unknowingly helped shape my worldview. So I got involved in public affairs and after college moved first to downstate Illinois and its state capital, then to Iowa and its state capital, where I had the opportunities to flesh out and implement what I thought were important initiatives. Programs like Ryan White, rural health access, and medical home policy served to temper my idealism with practicality. I am grateful to those who showed me you can't merely wish for the public good, you have to plan, have supportive colleagues, and work for it. All of you who have initiated or maintained Rotary programs know what I mean. The last 20 years of my career were spent at the U, clearly an environment different from the south side of Chicago and our state capital. I had opportunities I could never have imagined to teach, administer, and advise. I appreciate the mentoring I received from some in this club, and as an inevitable factor of aging, from some who have passed on, but whose legacies remain. In each of these eras of my own, I was able to find enterprises that enabled my vision and work: scouting, church, government, university. Now in retirement, it's revealing the mechanisms which enable the continuity of my life's focus. For me, it is through Rotary and other voluntary engagements, where I find the same goals and, importantly, the same kind of role models who foster aspiration and accomplishment. I find that the values found in the four-way test and the Rotary mission creates a forum for many to come together, the kind of people for whom the four-way test isn't just a mantra, but a roadmap for life. Thank you for all you do.
Chris, that was wonderful. Applause, applause. That was very well spoken. I really appreciate that thoughtful response. And I have to say, this has become one of my favorite parts of the meeting. And I always enjoy kind of hearing what people, what thoughts they share. So thank you for sharing, yours. I also want to make sure that everyone knows that Chris is actually one of our two co-chairs of our grants committee. He and Tracy Triddle are co-chairing the grants committee. So thank you for the service to the committee as well. So next we will I'm going to turn this over to Vern Folkman, and Vern will introduce our program, and we've got kind of an exciting array of information for you today. Vern? Okay, I believe Vern's there.
Everyone hear me all right?
Yep,
Good.
You're good.
I'm the chairman of the foundation committee for our club, and so I get a lot of great honors, and today I've got 7 of them, and I'm really looking forward to each one. And I want to introduce the rest of my committee members. And Aaron Schaefer is our treasurer. Chet Woodman is another member. John Fraser is a member, and then we have some new members this year: Madeleine Windauer, Don Karstensen, and Bruce Geither. So we welcome all these on our new committee. And so we haven't had any organizational meeting yet. We're going to have some in the future here and see if we can do some new things. But today, before I do want to introduce Chris, because he's wore his Garcia tie and he's the only one with a tie on. So I want to say a few words about Chris. He's been a Rotarian since 1989. He was a charter member of the AM Club in Iowa City, and he was also their treasurer for 8 years, and he was club president in 2001. His focus has been international in both scope and action. At the club level, Chris has been the club's youth exchange officer and youth exchange counselor, and the club's counselor for 4 ambassadorial scholars, and the club's inbound GST team liaison. Both he and his wife, Burnett, participated in Iowa Most, Iowa Miles of Smiles, Cleft Lip and Cleft Palate Surgeries team in Guatemala. Burnett has been a Rotarian since 2013 and has been actively engaged in all these activities since 1990. To date, these 2 Rotarians have hosted 8 exchange students. So as you can see, they've both really been active. And he was also district governor of our District 6000 in 2016 and 17. So he's been in a lot of different things. And he is now actually, and the reason we asked him here today to talk about the foundation, he has a 3-year commitment to the District Foundation Committee as a chairman. So Chris, we're glad to have you. And before we get into your presentation, I want to present 7 awards that been kind of building up here over the period of a few months, and it's time we get this done, and I thought it would be a good time doing that today. So our first award is for a Paul Harris Fellow, and what that means is that this person has accomplished $1,000 in donations to the Rotary Foundation, and the winner of that, or the award for that, is for Janice Ann Baldus. I think Janice is here. Let's give Janice a nice hand. Thanks, Janice, for your participation. You want to do a wave or anything?
Thank
There you are.
you.
Great. Thank you, Janice. We appreciate it very much. And I want to show you what you'll be getting here. Here's the certificate signed by the international president of our association, and then also a very nice pin with Paul Harris's picture on it. And as you grow in this organization, and you will get some more of these with some different kind of sapphires in it. So thank you very much. Next in line, as next award is for Paul Harris Fellow +2, which means they have reached the 3,000 level. And the first recipient of that is Dorothy Paul. I don't think Dorothy is here. I've looked around at the pictures and I don't see her. So Dorothy, we appreciate it very much. And let's give her a hand also. The next one is Tom Seelig. I know he's here. I saw him a little bit ago. And Tom is also a Paul Harris +2. So Tom, we appreciate your continued loyalty to the foundation. And let's give Tom a hand. You want to show your picture, Tom? Don't know how to do that? Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Tom. And the next one is Steve Schomburg, and he is a Paul Harris +3, which means he has given 4,000 to the foundation. Steve, I don't think is here either today. So thank you, Steve. We appreciate that very much. Okay, number 5 is our just announced one of our board members, Madeleine Windauer. She is a Paul Harris +3. And I know Madeleine's here today. So Madeleine?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. And we appreciate your continued support of this, and we hope you'll continue. And,
thank you.
Oh, Steve, you're here.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you for, sorry, I went over you. I didn't see you there on the picture. So yeah, we appreciate your continued support also, Steve. And last in this category is Benny Hawkins. And Benny also is not here. He emailed me and said he couldn't make it. Something come up, but he is a Paul Harris +5, which means he's given 6,000 toward the foundation. So Benny, we're very appreciative of that, and let's give him a hand also. And then we jump into the next level, and that would be what we call a major donor. So when you have given 10,000 to the foundation, you become a major donor, and you can go on from there also. But the major donor gets a nice pin. It has a diamond in it, and it's a little bit different design. And it also has Paul Harris's insignia on it. So, and then he also gets a crystal, which we've already sent to him because of the fact that we couldn't do this in person. So the recipient of that, and I want to say a few words about Steve, is Steve West. So I want you to get to know Steve just a little bit better here for those of you that don't maybe know him. In 1980, Steve took over his dad's business that his dad started after World War II, and he became CEO of the West Music Company. Since then, the company has developed into a worldwide company selling all types of musical instruments through retail stores and online categories. Via catalogs. I'm sorry. In 2008, Steve retired, naming Robin Walenta as the new president. And soon after that, Steve's son Ryan joined the business and was named senior vice president and oversees management of all the retail stores. I first met Steve when he and I were serving together on the Kirkwood Foundation board. Steve served as treasurer of the foundation, vice president, and president of that board, and is still a member of the board today, I think. And Steve, we're so proud to have you as a member of our Rotary Club, and so thankful that you support our Rotary Foundation as you do. So Steve, I want to give you, and I know Chris Knapp was going to chime in with this. Chris, if you want to say anything before we ask for Steve's response.
No, I'd like to have Steve go ahead and speak. Please, Steve.
Well, do I have to? Well, first of all, thank you for nice recognition. Writing the check to the Rotary Foundation is one of the more joyful checks I can write all year long. I have a kind of an interesting story that I think can relate to some of the Rotarians on the meeting today. A number of years ago, Herb Wilson called me up and said, could we have a meeting? And he came over and he said, we're working on this 100% of our Rotary Club being members of Paul Harris Rotary. And he was asking myself and others in the club that are still in the club to give $1,000 a year. And I said, well, I think that's probably a pretty good idea. And I've been very fortunate to be able to afford to continue to do that. But giving to the Rotary Foundation is probably the most efficient and effective organization that I can give to. And I think most Rotarians would say the same, because it really reaches so many people on the local, national, and most importantly on the global level, and people that are really need, the people that are receiving the money are well vetted and are needing our support as those that have more than others. So it's an easy check to write. I know you can't say no to Herb if anybody's ever been asked for Herb to do something. And so it's a great, I appreciate the recognition, but again, thank you to Herb and his continued support and long-term belief in Rotary and its giving and giving to the foundation. I would recommend all Rotarians to give as much as you can, because it really does reach so many people in a wonderful way. Thank you for this recognition.
Thank you so much, Steve. At this point, you're ready for me now?
I sure am.
Okay, let me bring up a shared screen here. And you might want to minimize all the images that you have to the right in the gallery view, or go to speaker view for this. I want to thank everyone for the opportunity to let me come here this year. This is my third year and being engaged in the Rotary Foundation as a leader of it. And I'm very, very proud of what our foundation has been doing in District 6000 through District 6000 to the world. And we call it the Rotary Foundation, but it's really our foundation. We put the money into the foundation and we get to determine how that money is spent. And to that, I'm going to be alluding to a few of the points that Steve commented on. And I want to mention, by the way, that I knew Steve's father before I knew Steve, because Pearl was the one who sold me my 2 saxophones, and I still have my second axe. And I remember when the store used to be on Clinton Street, and I enjoy the growth that the store and the business has taken over the years. So thank you, Steve, for being so generous, and also to the other Paul Harris recipients today for your generosity. I want to have you look at this very first slide here. End polio now. You have a great champion in your club, Chet. I appreciate your championing on the End Polio Now effort. I think many of you are aware that we are now down to 2 endemic countries. In October, Nigeria was declared polio-free, and therefore Africa was declared polio-free. So we are down to 2 countries where previously we had 3. And it's because of the efforts of clubs like ours, your club, our district, giving money to the Rotary Foundation for the End Polio Now effort. And this past year, your club gave $7,750. Now, if you remember, it's a 2-for-1 match by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So that represented $23,000 worth of effort going into the End Polio Now campaign, just by the Rotary Club of Iowa City. So you need to be recognized and appreciated by everyone in your club, as across the district and across the Rotary world. The other image to the top right here represents the annual theme that we've had over the past 3 years. 2 years ago, it was Tom Narek with Be the Inspiration. And last year was Governor Erna Moraine's Rotary Connects the World. And this year, Steve Dakin has a great one, Rotary Opens Opportunities. And there's no doubt that the Rotary Foundation, through the global grants and our community district grant program, allows us to have opportunities to change people's lives, not only in Iowa City, District 6000, the state of Iowa, but also the world. And we need to exploit that. And because your club is so generous in giving to the Rotary Foundation, our district is able to do much more than many districts are around the world. In fact, this past year, the annual fund contributions by the Rotary Club of Iowa City was $40,475. Outstanding. And the average giving by the members of your club was $138 as opposed to $113 as the average for the district. So well and above what the rest of the district is doing, you are a leader, and I thank you for that. I hope that part of the reason you're giving is what Steve is saying about the efficiency, and I want to mention that just briefly. I think many of you are aware that the Rotary Foundation is evaluated by Charity Navigator. And for about the past 8 years or more, we have had a 4-star out of 4-star rating from Charity Navigator. It's for the efficiency, for the stewardship, for the activity that our foundation does and how it is managed. 95 cents of every dollar that is contributed to the Rotary Foundation is spent on Rotary projects. That is an outstanding percentage, 95%. Many other organizations that receive donations from people do not have that same efficiency ratio. So you should be very proud to know that the stewardship that our district leadership in the foundation, that area, is doing everything it can with helping your club, our clubs, be great stewards of the money that we are using. You're going to get a fire hose today. There's a lot of information that I want to give, so fasten your seatbelts and let's go down the path. Here's a typical Iowa farm scene. As you drive down Interstate 80, Highway 6, Highway 30, you might look to the right or to the left and you'll see some farmsteads and you'll see some silos. In business, the concept of silos are centers of influence, and we have centers of influences in our business. And if those centers of influence, be they marketing or production, manufacturing, or forward planning, strategic planning, and so forth, if they do not communicate with one another, they do stand alone. And we do have to have our silos within Rotary working together to continue the great efforts of Rotary. And 3 important silos within Rotary are membership, public image, which is marketing, and the Rotary Foundation. Note that those silos are not connected, but in Rotary, they are. There is a link between membership and the Rotary Foundation. The more members we have, the more Rotarians giving to the Rotary Foundation. The Rotary Foundation grows. More money is in the Rotary Foundation, which allows us to do our global and district grant projects, which lead to the opportunity to raise the image of Rotary and public awareness of what Rotary does through the branding of our projects. That is why we often, that's why every time we have a community grant, we ask that the project be branded with the Rotary Club of Iowa City, the Rotary Foundation, and District 6000 should all be mentioned, because we're using those funds that you have given, the district has given, to make that project go forward. And through public image awareness, we have the opportunity, when we are asked what is Rotary, to tell them and ask them to join our organization, to join your club, my club, the clubs across the district, to grow membership, which again allows us to have more Rotarians giving to the Rotary Foundation. A figure which I'm going to mention now, and you will see shortly with a graph that I have. 10 years ago, we had 4,100 and, make sure I have the right number, 4,184 members in Rotary. This year, at the beginning of this year, we had 3,582. That is a loss of approximately 600 Rotarians over a 10-year period. The loss of Rotarians come in many forms, but three of the significant ones are, of course, the passing of Rotarians. The second one is Rotarian moves away from the community where they are a member of the Rotary Club. And the third one is a lack of engagement. The Rotarian, when they join the club, are immediately engaged, but then they fall away because they do not remain engaged. And I think one of the best ways to have Rotarians become and remain engaged in what the club is doing is have the club being involved in community and district grants, and global grants, showing and using the funds that we put into the foundation to make the world a better place. So here's the graph that I want to talk about, and I want you to look at the very bottom bars, those 5 bars at the bottom for the year 2016, 2017, which happened to be my Rotary year when I was district governor. It goes from the left of $0 out to $500,000. The very bottom bar, that red bar, represents how much money was given by Rotarians in that year to the End Polio Now effort. It was $110,000, which represented $330,000 when you match that with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That is approximately 300,000 doses of polio vaccine being distributed around the world. That means not only in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Nigeria back then, but also in India, in the United States, in Europe, in South America, because we are vaccinating children everywhere in the world. We have to continue vaccinating children around the world until polio is ended in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and in the world. If we do not, it's very much like the coronavirus has brought home to us. It is but a plane ride away. The next line above that represents how much money Rotarians in our district gave to the Rotary Foundation in that year. It was $477,000 to the annual fund. That's the money which we draw upon 3 years later to do our district projects and our global grants, $477,000. And in that same year, we also had a legacy event, and we raised over $1 million of money being directed to the Rotary Endowment. When you invest in the endowment through giving through your estate planning or direct gifts to what used to be called the permanent fund, now the endowment, the income from your gift coming out of District 6000, the income comes back to our district. And right now we are receiving approximately $30,000 a year in income from the gifts that have been given to the endowment fund by Rotarians of District 6000. If you go up to the long purple bar that is represented there, that represents how much money was available to our district in the Rotary year 16-17 that was given 3 years prior. That is the return of our annual fund money, and it was over $400,000. In that year, that blue line on top of about $120,000 represented how much money was dedicated to our district grant program that year. The rest of that money represented the money which was put into our global grant account to allow us to match global grant requests from our district, both at the district level as well as at the international level. I want to mention that at this time, the Rotary Foundation in our account has no money in it because we have used all that money efficiently. Now, there's going to be money coming in this year from the past year, and we are going to have money available for our global grants, but we made sure that we are using all of our given funds to projects. We are not sitting on it. We are putting that money to work with the global grants and the district grants from our committee. Now, on the very left-hand side, you see that very small little pinkish color there. That represents how many Rotarians are supporting all those dollars. So we have gone, as I mentioned before, from about 4,200 Rotarians down to 3,500 Rotarians. And we need to change that trajectory. I don't know if you are aware, but the trustees of the Rotary Foundation, our foundation, have added a 7th area of focus for global grants. So let's quickly take a look at the 7 areas. And we start up in the upper left-hand corner of that diagram with basic education and literacy. To the right, you'll see maternal and child health care. To the right of that, you'll see peace and conflict resolution being represented. Below that, you'll see water and sanitation. Below that, you'll see economic and community development grants. To the left of that, you'll see disease prevention, and now the new one to the very left of that, supporting the environment. So we now have the opportunity in these 7 areas to focus in our relationships with a host district somewhere in the world to do a project that meets at least one of these areas of focus. And I think you're very much aware that in our district, the Rotary Club of Ames has been leading the charge for several years on water and sanitation projects for us in Tanzania. Your club, our club here, Rotary Club of Iowa City, has been engaged in the vocational training team grants of working with the Club Foot program of training orthopedic surgeons in Central and South America in particular in the Ponseti method to impact children's lives through non-surgical procedure of club foot manipulation to allow the children to walk as natural as possible. We are doing other type of grants around the world through that. Your club, our club, and our district are doing so much. But let's look to the right to the comments that are made over here. Over the past 12 years, our district has initiated 95 global grants totaling over $5.2 million, impacting over 900,000 people. That is the efficiency, that's the stewardship, that is the impact of you putting money into our foundation and us taking that money out, creating great global and district grants and changing the lives of the people in our community and around the world. We were talking earlier, and thank you, Steve, for being a member of the Paul Harris Society of giving $1,000 a year. Many of you are doing every Rotarian every year, $100 per year. You are doing it sometimes by being a sustaining member, having the money taken out of your checking account or maybe onto your credit card once a month, once a quarter, whenever. Quarterly gifts, many times you are using your quarterly due statement that is given to you, and there's a place for you to make a voluntary gift to the Rotary Foundation on that statement. Bequest, endowment, we are talking about that where you get to name the Rotary Foundation as a charity of choice in your will. And you fill out a brief form that you send off to the Rotary Foundation. You work with your attorney to make sure that your will is modified with that information so that upon your passing, money goes to the Rotary Foundation and the income from that comes back to our district. Arts Clump Society, some people have the capacity to give a larger sum of money, $250,000 or more. And that has happened several times in our district. We have at least 8 Arts Clump Society members. And one of them is Bill Tubbs and Linda Tubbs, his wife, and they have chosen their Arts Clump money to be directed to the Rotary Scholar Program, which is associated with the peace and conflict resolution. Paul Harris Society is one way, as I mentioned, major donor. And this can be done either at one time or as many of you are doing, and as Steve has done, with a recognition of giving $10,000 over a period of years to the Rotary Foundation. You are recognized as a major donor. And that is so important that we have that. On the Paul Harris Society, by the way, we have over 80 members in our district giving $1,000 a year. So of that $400-some thousand that is given every year, 80 Rotarians are giving $80,000 plus of that. RMD, there's been a slight change. You don't have to start using the RMD, required minimum distribution, from your IRA until age 72, but you can start doing it at age 70. And what you do is you can direct money from your IRA directly to the Rotary Foundation. It goes to them without any taxes. It helps satisfy your required minimum distribution. It is a win, win, win. So these are some ways that you and I and other Rotarians across our district can support our Rotary Foundation. Rotary International has a mission statement. It's 24 short words. And it says the following: together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities and in ourselves. I believe that what the Rotary Club of Iowa City does daily, weekly, monthly, year after year, you are creating lasting change in our community. And I thank you for that. By choosing to have great community projects, by participating in global projects, participating in district events such as Iowa Most or the Hecotepec Project, or supporting RILA or the World Affairs. All these, youth exchange, all these activities change and help make our community and the world a better place. But not to be outdone, the Rotary Foundation has its mission statement. And this encapsulates the 7 goals of the Rotary Foundation. The mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotarians to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. Those 7 areas of focus are all encapsulated in those words. That is what we get to do when we give to the annual fund, when we give to the endowment, when that money comes back to our district. Either our club, your club, the clubs across the district take that money and invest it back into our communities or into a world community. I've been in Rotary for 30 years. During that time, I have grown in knowledge and appreciation of the foundation. When I first joined Rotary, I didn't know about the foundation. I didn't understand what the foundation could do. I was much younger, and with time and age and opportunity to learn and be associated with Rotarians in our district, I have gone through a journey from lack of knowledge or very low understanding to a better understanding. And I do not know everything that we can do yet with our foundation, but I want to say this to you and about myself. We give because we want to and we can. It's not automatic. We see, we feel, we learn, and then we act. The Rotary Foundation gives us this opportunity to do that. You're giving, maybe you yourself are not engaged in the actual projects that we do, but by your giving to the Rotary Foundation, the Rotary Club of Iowa City, the Rotary Club of Iowa City AM, the Rotary Club of Coon Rapids, Des Moines, all the clubs in our district have the opportunity to change people's lives in our communities and around the world. It's our foundation. It's over 100 years old. It's growing, it's dynamic, it has so much that it can do. So thank you very much for letting me do it. That's the Rotary spiel I have today. That was a fire hose, and I appreciate the opportunity.
Great, thank you, Chris. I don't know if there is anybody in the audience that has any questions for Chris at all. If so, please go into the participant area and raise your hand if you have a question. I actually have a question for Vern Folkman. Vern, if you could unmute. I just wondered if people are interested in being a part of your committee, what would they be working on? What do you need help with your committee?
Yeah, thanks, Barb. Well, our goal is to promote the foundation, and any way we can do that. And we have been actually doing pretty well, as Chris mentioned. I mean, we've been right at around $40,000 to $45,000 per year giving without doing a whole lot, really. And I think we can increase that quite a bit, as like the committee that started this youth exchange with the RILA and also the World Understanding. I mean, look at how that's growing. We can do the same thing but we have to have programs. We have to do some things to do that. And that's what our committee should be doing. I'm not saying that we have done that in the past, but that's kind of what our goal is.
Great. Well, thank you, Vern. If anyone is interested in working on the foundation committee, I encourage you to reach out to Vern to participate and volunteer. I also want to thank Chris for being our speaker today and sharing that information with you. Chris, in this Rotary year, we have actually started a tradition in that we are donating $10 to Rotary International's Polio Plus program in honor of each of our speakers. And as you well know, that donation is matched 2 to 1, which means that there is a $30 donation to Rotary's Polio Plus program, which provides 70 vaccinations. And so thank you for spending the time with us today and sharing that information.
I want to give one brief story. You know Steve Dakin, and Steve has a connection with the Rotary Club of Iowa City, which was Dean Dakin. And I want to say that for many years, I thought Dean Dakin's first name was Dean. And so we were just really honored with the fact that Alan Dakin was a member of your club, and he was at one time a director for Rotary International. And we should be proud of that fact, to know that we have not only Paul Harris coming out of our law school here at Iowa, but also that Alan Dakin represented District 6000 and the Rotary Club of Iowa City prominently at Rotary International.
Excellent. That is great. We have a very rich tradition in history and something that we can all be proud of. And so if there is no other business before the club, then I ask you all to join me in the 4-way test. You're welcome to unmute your microphones if you'd like to. Of all of the things that we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all? Will it build goodwill? Better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Great. Thank you all. And I hope you have a wonderful day. The meeting is adjourned. It's great to see you all.